Good morning, children. Happy to meet you again. Let's begin the session with a famous proverb. As you sow, so you reap. The meaning is things will happen to us, good or bad, according to how we behave. So, do good for others, it will come back. You will get good results in future. Okay, children? This is your English online class for Standard 5. My Early Days with the Chimpanzees by Jane Goodall. Children, today you're going to have a reading session. Okay. This lesson is in page number 27 in your course book. But you need not open your course book. Just look at the screen. Also watch the cursor movement and you will read along with the audio. Okay. After the session is over, you may read this book.
July 16th, 1960 was a day I shall remember all my life. It was when I first set foot on the shingle and sand beach of Chimpanzee Land, that is, Gombe National Park. I was 26 years old. Mum and I were greeted by the 2 African Game Scouts who were responsible for protecting the 30 square miles of the park. They helped us find a place where we could put up our old ex-army tent. We chose a lovely spot under some trees near the small, fast-flowing Kakombe stream. Every morning I got up when I heard the alarm clock at 5:30 a.m. I ate a couple of slices of bread and had a cup of coffee from the flask. Then I set off, climbing to where I thought the chimps might be. Most often, I went to the peak. I discovered that from this high place, I had a splendid view in all directions. I could see chimps moving in the trees, and I could hear if they called. At first, I watched from afar, through my binoculars, and never tried to get close. I knew that if I did, the chimps would run away silently. Gradually, I began to learn about the chimps' home and how they lived. I discovered that, most of the time, the chimps wandered about in small groups of 6 or less, not in a big troop like the baboons. Often, a little group was made up of a mother with her children, or 2 or 3 adult males by themselves. Sometimes many groups joined together, especially when there was delicious ripe fruit on one big tree. When the chimps got together like that, they were very excited, made a lot of noise, and were easy to find. Eventually I realized that the chimps I watched from the peak were all part of one group, a community. There were about 50 chimps belonging to this community. From the peak, I noted which trees the chimps were feeding in, and then, when they had gone, I scrambled down and collected some of the leaves, flowers, and fruits so they could be identified later. I found that the chimps eat mostly fruits, but also a good many kinds of leaves, blossoms, seeds, and stems. Later, I would discover that they also eat a variety of insects and sometimes hunt and kill prey animals to feed on meat. During those months of gradual discovery, the chimps very slowly began to realize that I was not so frightening after all. Even so, it was almost a year before I could approach them within 100 yards. And that is not really very close. As time went by, I began to learn more about the other creatures that shared the forests with the chimpanzees. There were four kinds of monkeys, in addition to the baboons, and many smaller animals such as squirrels and mongooses. There was also a whole variety of nocturnal creatures, porcupines and civets, and all manners of rats and mice. Only a very few animals in the forest at Gombe were potentially dangerous, mainly buffalo and leopards. And of course, there are poisonous snakes, 7 different kinds.
Okay, children, hope you all have read along with the audio. Is it not? Yes, very good, children. So now that whenever you're free, you may play the audio and listen, and you may even open your textbook and read. Okay, let's continue the reading session in our next class. Stay safe. Bye bye. Thank you, children.